Welcome to Unveiling Beauty, the video podcast that focuses on your beauty and self-care. I'm your host, Nick Stenson, and I am joined here by my co-host, Ann Manukian. How are you?
I'm so good. How are you?
Good to see you. I'm excited about this episode because, we both love all things that make us look and feel beautiful. And on this episode, we have Ross Berry. How are you?
I'm very good. How are you? Happy to be here with both of you.
Yeah, same to you.
Happy to have you.
So Ross Berry is the National Fragrance Ambassador and Manager of Event and Client Experience for L'Oreal. That's quite the title.
It is quite the title.
So what's the favorite part of your role?
I love engaging with clients and I love working with fragrance. I've been, in the industry since I was 18. My mom was in it growing up, so I love the world of perfume.
Love that. And I feel like the world of perfume is having a much bigger moment as of this last year, I want to say. And I think with the rise of the amount of perfumes that I've purchased blindsided from TikTok because somebody's described a fragrance is kind of uncanny. And I'm just going with the consumer experience because I'm like, if I'm into it, I know so many other people are into it. And so I'm so selfishly excited for this conversation. Yeah. And I'm so excited for the conversation for our guests tuning in as well, because fragrance is such a unique way of expressing yourself.
Yeah. It's a silent accessory, I like to say. It's like that
silent accessory. I like that.
That finishing touch, right?
I love that silent accessory. Ooh, okay. So let's talk about personalizing your silent accessory, because that is such a unique kind of stamp or something you leave for the world when you're passing by as well, right? So when we think about layering fragrances and, selfishly for women consumers, what are some of your top picks?
So I have two that I love. It's like asking what my favorite child is. But there's two that are kind of my go-tos, especially as we go into these sort of cooler months. Mm-hmm. First, I have Victor and Rolf, which, Flower Bomb, super, super famous. But Ruby Orchid is like a very juicy kind of sexy version that has a little bit of an avant-garde twist. I like to say it's like, if you're looking at it as an accessory, it'd be like a really chic fingerless glove that you'd wear with like
I like that.
With like a wool coat.
A chic fingerless glove with a wool
fingerless
coat.
glove. So there's like
all right.
It's feminine, but there's like a nuanced, cool twist to it. And this has a peach, like a juicy peach on the top note, right? And then you have a very rare red orchid in the heart. And then there's that beautiful red bourbon vanilla in the base.
This is really
gorgeous.
layered.
I
love that.
Really a freak about certain scents.
Yeah. So it's like very addictive.
Yeah.
It's sexy.
It is sexy.
And it's not overwhelming.
No, there's still a freshness to it. And I also really...
I love that.
I love Prada Paradox, which I feel like everybody has heard of. It's blown up. It's like one of the most popular fragrances right now. Also, similar vibe, but different at the same time. So this has neroli in it, and there's an amber accord, and then...
Is this here?
Yes.
Oh, this was the one we were fighting over. Yes. One of our teammates is like obsessed with this, and we all stop her and ask her what this is all the time. Oh, yeah, this is...
I know, that one's really good. So do a little bit... Do you know the proper way to apply fragrance?
Why don't you tell us first?
Please do, because I don't think I...
So you always want to do it on a pulse point.
Okay.
About 6 inches away. And then you're just going to let it marinate. Okay. So never rub. When you rub, you crush the scent molecules and you bruise the fragrance. So you don't get the full...
Oh, so doing this and this, what I usually do is not right.
We grew up watching people do it, but
I do everything wrong about that.
Everything. Okay, so 6 inches. All right, 6 inches. And then we're going to spray.
Yep.
Okay. And then we're going to...
Let it marinate.
Okay, just let it marinate. All right, do a wave. Let it marinate. Okay.
And then if you want to smell...
Never this.
Never that.
So resist the urge.
And then if you want to be really crazy and smell something kind of magic...
Obviously.
You can layer those two.
Okay.
All right. So
which one is the base layer? Is it this or is it the...
I love that you asked that question. So whenever you're layering fragrances, you want to take the one that has the most base notes. So this has an ambery note in the base. This is more sort of fresh and fruity. So I would do the Prada as your base.
Okay.
And then you do the Ruby Orchid as your top note.
Okay. All right. So here we go. You have me that one back too. Yes. Thank you. Okay. All right. This is fun.
Okay.
Okay.
And I like to say Prada's kind of like a chic scarf, right? So now you're like ready to go out. You got your like fingerless gloves, your chic scarf.
All you need is your Aston Martin.
There you go. All you need is your Aston Martin. But it's like very elevated. You'd never think to put 2 fragrances like this together, but it also creates 3 fragrances out of 2. So it extends your fragrance wardrobe.
So I really want to do this. So even when I'm layering them, I don't do this.
You can gently press, but no
Gently
rubbing.
press. Okay. So there's not the like, let's mix it all together. The fragrances, you're literally layering. You're
It's
not
going to
mixing.
mix together on your skin.
I'm just educating the people because this are the things that I want to know.
And also for women, tips of the hair. Because as the oils from your scalp, it'll like, you turn your head.
Okay, well,
it's
I
kind
mean,
of
I
sexy
might.
behind the knee.
Behind the knee. Do you know where I always apply cologne?
Where?
Behind my ear.
Yeah.
Because when I'm a hugger. So when I
Yes.
hug people, I always want to leave them with a little
Yeah.
bit of a
I
nice
love
scent.
that, or the inner lapel of your blazer.
Yes. Mhm.
And this is a great place too, because it's where you take your pulse.
Right.
So anywhere you would take your pulse, your body's going to naturally warm the fragrance up the fastest. So you're going to get the best sort of evolution of the scent.
Talk about the inside of the palette. I know the reason why, but I bet most people watching don't.
I mean, it's very similar for, when you have it close to the body, it's going to, you'll warm it up throughout the day.
Mm-hmm.
And do you ever take off your jacket or your shirt and you throw it on, your chair in your room, and then you go back to it later and you're like, oh my God, that smells so good.
Yeah.
I also selfishly used to spray things when I would date people, and they'd be like, oh, this constant, everything smells
This
like
reminds
you.
me of
I'm
you.
like, "Oh, there you
That's the
go.
house."
Exactly. But no, it's every time somebody gets close to you, they're going to think of that. And they also say, scent is the strongest thing connecting us to like motion and attraction, and also to memory. So they say every time you have a new life moment, like you get married or you go on a big trip, you should get a new scent, because every time you smell it, it will remind you of that moment.
It's so true, because I go back to some of the scents I wore throughout my life, and it takes me to a very specific moment every time I smell it.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Sometimes good, sometimes triggering.
Usually
Yeah.
triggering.
Yeah.
Usually
Choose
triggering.
wisely.
Let's be
Choose
real.
That
wisely.
happens too. So
Mhm.
sometimes.
All right, so we have a plan for the women. What
Okay.
about the guys?
Okay, so these are 2 of my favorites. So first we have Valentino. This fragrance is on fire. We have Uomo Intense. So this is a fougere ambery fragrance.
Fougere, I like the word.
Fougere means fern in French, right? So it's generally, we're using a ton of aromatics in here. The top note of this is a bourbon vanilla, but then you have galbanum, which is a resin which has an ambery quality to it, and then it's based with vetiver, which is a really spicy, fresh grass. So this one is amazing.
Okay.
I'm gonna let you. We're gonna do a little on the pulse point. No rubbing.
No rubbing.
Smell.
Okay. Nice.
Ooh,
How?
Mhm.
Yeah, it's really good, right?
that is really
It's sophisticated.
But there's like an edgy kind of young punk vibe to it too.
Yeah.
We say this is kind of like a motorcycle jacket, like a leather motorcycle jacket.
A good one.
A good leather motorcycle. Yes.
And I like the depth that it has. It's not overly, sometimes you smell a men's fragrance. It's like, this
Yeah.
is really subtle, but it's very sophisticated
There's
at the
a
same time.
smoothness to it of like how the ambery quality and the vanilla, which are both considered gourmand ingredients, right? Gourmand meaning something that you want to eat.
Mhm.
And then the spiciness of the vetiver.
Gorgeous.
Gives it like that
Gorgeous.
sort of very classic men's connotation. And then one of my favorites right now to layer with that is the new Polo Red Parfum,
Okay.
which Ralph Lauren, tried and true, super classic.
Mhm.
This is actually the largest launch in Ralph Lauren. Polo Red EDT was the largest launch in Ralph Lauren history. This is now beat that.
Okay.
And it's a very concentrated fragrance that has a ton of sophistication to it. So this one has orris in it, which is called blue gold in the perfume industry.
Okay.
It's actually like one of the most coveted and expensive ingredients in perfume. And then we use absinthe, like the drink,
Mhm.
right?
Mm.
Which has almost never been used before in fragrance.
Wow.
And then cedarwood, which is actually grown sustainably for Ralph Lauren in Virginia on his own farm.
Oh, very cool.
Very, very cool note. And this is
this
like
one, yeah.
spicy and like woody, but still has like a very classic vibe. I say this is like a really beautiful
Ooh.
cashmere sweater.
Mm. Yes.
And I love,
Now we're gonna layer them.
we're going to layer them.
And I'm
I'm
not
like-
mixing.
We're
I'm
going to
just-
layer
just
them
laying.
together. I love these 2 together because they are kind of polar opposites, but this is sort of like how I don't wear the same thing every day because I'm not doing the same thing all the time. Like I'm going to wear something very different to work than I'm going to wear on a date. Because if my date's reminding me of work, it's time to swipe left. Right? So
I'm so jealous. I'm running out of hands. Because I
up
want
here, you can do it up
All
here.
right, it's a whole thing. Okay.
Well,
You can smell it on Nick.
But let's talk about because one of the things that I'm really attracted to is a bit more of a muscular or masculine or a gender neutral fragrance. So how would you are either one of these great to make a fragrance less floral or less feminine?
You can 100% do that. Especially Valentino Uomo is very big. It's almost considered a unisex fragrance. So a ton of people use that for that reason. And it's also beautiful to add a little bit of depth. Like it's gorgeous with Prada.
So can I create a fourth scent based on what I already have layered here?
You can create a fifth, sixth, and seventh scent if you mix these. That's the beautiful thing about it. I mean, using these 4 fragrances, you basically have like 12 fragrances.
You know what's so funny? So for years, I had a custom blended cologne that I wore that literally people would stop me like walking down the street because it was so unique.
Yep.
And then it became more and more popular as the years went on. And I was like, oh, I don't like this now. People are like, oh, you're wearing blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, wait a minute. I don't want anybody to know that. So I started layering just because I wanted to confuse people. But now layering has become such a common thing that everyone is doing.
But it's a way to take 2 fragrances that can be kind of recognizable and put your own spin on it to where it becomes almost a custom scent, right?
Yeah.
And then you're expanding your fragrance wardrobe.
I like it.
So let's do these 2 really quick on you because I want you to smell how good they are. Now, which one would you do on the bottom?
This one.
Okay, perfect. So yes, more base note ingredients. This has all that beautiful cedar wood in the base. And then it'll complement really nicely with the vetiver.
Yeah.
So it's almost like difference in texture, just like if you were wearing a cashmere sweater under like a leather motorcycle jacket, right?
It's a subtle difference too. It's not like in your face. It just kind of marries.
Complements.
Yeah, and complements together.
And that's why it's always good to take something that has a similar olfactive thread. Like if they both have a floral ingredient or they both have kind of an ambery ingredient, it's going to work well.
Okay. What would be your must-have go-to?
My must-have go-to? Oh, I would say all 4 of them.
All 4 of them. Of course. True salesman, all 4 of them.
But these 2 are what I'm currently wearing. I will say personally on myself, the Polo Red Puff Homme and the Uomo I'm currently wearing on myself.
Are there any of the traditional like women's fragrances that you like to layer in for a little bit of extra like Christmas or more of a floral for you?
The original Flower Bomb is, the epitome of super hyper feminine and floral, but it does have that like ambery quality in the base. So that one is really beautiful. Also Mugler Alien. And there's also, as another men's fragrance that I love, is the new Azzaro, the Most Wanted. It has that really beautiful dark caramel notes on it. And that fragrance is super high quality and lasts forever. So I also love that one if you want to make it a little bit darker and more seductive.
But I love really creating that, again, your signature silence accessory. And this allows us to really create something unique and completely special to ourselves, which is so special.
I know.
Silent accessory.
And then when
my
people
takeaway for the day.
When people stop you and they're like, "What are you wearing?" They're like, "Oh, this is just me. This is what I smell like." Right?
It's unique for just me.
Exactly.
Right?
Love that.
Everything's customized. I love that too.
So Ross, this was so incredibly, I mean, you can tell, you guys, I think we're just going to keep spraying and layering it throughout the day. It smells incredible in here.
It smells very good in here.
And thank you so much. I think we both got a huge takeaway of the silence accessory. So wear it well, and just have fun with it. I think that's the other takeaway is there's not really specific rules to follow. It's create something that you feel really good wearing and leaving people thinking about you.
And is unique to you. And I can't wait. You guys now have to keep me posted on what your favorite combos are.
Oh, for sure. We will.
Thank you so much, Ross, for all the tips and tricks on fragrance layering. And thank you all so much for joining in. I hope you learned something and I hope you had as much fun watching us as we did creating our own signature scents. And now's a perfect time to start creating your own. If you'd like to know more about finding your signature fragrance, please click on the link below or stop by an Ulta Beauty store near you. We'll see you on the next Unveiling Beauty. Until then, stay well, feel beautiful, and be joyful.